It is 10 o'clock, another edition of Three Man Front. Straight ahead, Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock on the Oklahoma Sooners. Curtis Fitzpatrick from our sister station, Oklahoma City, he's going to join the program in about 15 minutes from now. Edwards will give us some picks for the weekend for the college football world. Chris Stewart, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Scott Hamilton, a good friend of the program from the Charleston Post and Courier, he will join the program and discuss Dabo Swinney's comments yesterday. We played those comments for you, and we'll see how those are playing in the wonderful Palmetto State in regards to what's going to happen moving forward with Dabo Swinney. He's got a lot of equity in that program, and I would think, Landrum, those comments yesterday in regards to, hey, if you don't like me, send me packing, but I'm going to coach more. I'm sure that went over swimmingly well.
Just a message that serves as a reminder to the Clemson fan base or those who are not grateful for what he's done in his entire body of work, that if you don't like it, then I will gladly go somewhere else. But know this, I'm not going to the lake. I'm not going to the beach. I'm still going to be coaching somewhere else, and I will savor every opportunity I get to beat you when I come back. That's what I heard.
He's just putting them on morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the Tylers in Spartanburg, listen up. That's what I heard yesterday.
I think that's exactly what he was saying.
Yeah.
He was speaking directly to Tyler.
Yeah.
I wonder how he's doing.
Not to anybody else, just Tyler.
I can promise you Tyler is not doing well based on the last 3 weeks. Don't think he's doing great.
No. That entire fan base, based on expectations, me too. I've been disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, they were preseason number 4 in America.
I had Clemson right there with UCLA.
With everybody they had returning.
Well, and we talked even in the offseason of, man, Clemson might be ranked too low. Like maybe they should be even higher because we thought that they were going to be very, very good.
But what has been
not.
the one thing that everybody's pointed out about Clemson? It's lack of being able to establish a running game, and Klubnik, they've had to rely on his arm, and he has not been elite.
Well, our poll question today, right out of the gate.
Sounds familiar.
We asked the question, Molly, about the future of Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, so Dabo said yesterday that if Clemson was tired of winning, they could send him on his way. So we ask, do you think that Dabo coaches anywhere else other than Clemson? Simple yes or no question. And right now, no is the winning response with about 56.2%, 43.8% voting yes.
So what do you read into that, Conrad? Do you read into that the audience believes that he is a lifer at Clemson, or maybe he gets burnt out in a couple of years and that he just doesn't coach again and he becomes the voice and face of the ACC network?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is people expecting that he'll be at Clemson forever because I think we all agree that, not to say he has a lifetime contract, but it'd be very hard for them to probably part ways with him because of what he has done for that program. But I also think there's probably, look, as we know in our poll questions, a lot of it is typically leans towards the Alabama fan base in terms of who's voting. A lot of them probably hoping that he doesn't go anywhere because they don't want the possibility of Dabo coming to Tuscaloosa at some point in the future. So I think there might be a little bit of that mixed in as well. But he seems like a guy that would want to stay at Clemson for his entire career until he decides to call it up.
What is his contract set up? Do you know right offhand? Is it a crazy buyout? Or is it potentially one like a James Franklin? I can't see it being set up the way that James Franklin is, if Penn State fires him, they got to pay a whole lot of money. If James Franklin elects to leave, whoever hires him or James Franklin has to pay a $2 million professional whatever fee.
So he signed in 2022, he signed a 10-year, $115 million contract.
Sounds familiar.
So right now, if they were to get rid of him after this season, it'd be $60 million. After next season, it'd be $57 million. Yeah, I mean, they're stuck with him. After 2028, it's $34 million. Maybe you could stomach that. But, yeah. $60 million right now.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not.
And that's why he can have press conferences like he did yesterday.
Well, how many jobs? I was thinking not even making a move in the ACC. You just throw all of that out. Could you see a Dabo Swinney at Florida?
No.
Seems like that's oil and water. And if you ask me to explain why, I can't tell you, but it just feels like oil and water when I think about that pairing.
Like Urban Meyer's a better fit for that program than Dabo?
Yeah.
Well, there is a philosophy out there when you look at hiring coaches, new coaches, and I've heard this numerous times around big name college football hires, and that includes Alabama, is that the general philosophy is that once a coach makes X number of dollars as a successful coach, that from that point on, their winning percentage goes down dramatically. So it's better for you to go get a coach like a Kalen DeBoer, who is trying to get to that level, as opposed to hiring a Dabo Swinney that has already been there.
He's fat and happy.
And let's bring him in. Like, where's the juice? Like,
Right.
where's the motivation? Because, you're already there, so to speak. That is something that I've heard numerous times, and that included, kind of Greg Burns' philosophy when he was kicking the tires potentially at who would replace Nick Saban. That you don't want to go to that top echelon and go get that guy. You want to be able to potentially pay that guy that type of money in a few years, not right out of the gate. So,
Well, and plus, like right with the Kalen DeBoer, let's say he has a lot of success at Alabama, you maybe feel a little bit of loyalty to that program for giving you a chance to go in and take over that program.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it.
I think sometimes we overvalue loyalty when it comes to agents and them getting involved. Maybe client is wanting to be loyal a lot of times.
About to say loyalty in college sports doesn't really exist.
I do know where there's a lot of times that the agent, in most cases it's Jimmy Sexton, he will overrule the client and
Yes.
say, this is what I advise professionally. You can listen to me or you can find somebody else to represent you. And that's usually the way that it goes. But no, it's fascinating to think about a guy like Dabo leaving. What would you say Nick Saban, though, when Alabama hired him? He had won a national championship at LSU. He had won multiple, but they still paid top dollar at the time to go and get a Nick Saban.
Yeah, he was the highest paid coach. I mean, Alabama paid him $4 million, and that was setting the bar so high. The criticism that Alabama faced nationally from the pundits, this is ridiculous. Alabama can't afford education. Alabama doesn't have paved roads across the state. Internet is a problem, but you're going to pay football coach $4 million. That's what the national pundits were saying when Alabama said, we're going to pay top dollar. We're going to set the bar so high. This is what we need. This is what we want. And we're going to pay him $4 million. And people came out of the woodwork of just blasting Alabama for doing that. It paid off.
So
Tenfold.
if you think about those coaches that are on that are
trajectory.
ascending right now,
Like a Dan Lanning.
yeah, a Dan Lanning. Would you say Kenny Dillingham? I know this year it's
Give me
tougher,
another year or
but
two on Dillingham for me
Marcus
personally.
Freeman.
Freeman's there.
John Sumrall. Is that
Jury's
that
out
another
on him.
tier? Brent Key, Georgia Tech.
Still out on him too. They're all good coaches. I'm just saying to potentially pay that kind of money out of the gate, I don't see that yet.
But going back to Dabo and the deal that he signed, the contract that Conrad said in 2022, wasn't that right before Kirby Smart signed his big deal where it was just a little bit more to make him the highest paid?
Yeah, if you remember, it was always a back and forth between Kirby, Nick, and Dabo.
Yeah.
And because they all had written in their contracts that you were going to make $1 more than the highest paid person in your conference, this and that.
So Dabo signed the 10-year, $115 million deal. Then Kirby got a 10-year, $130 million deal.
Mm.
Man, imagine pulling in your driveway at the end of the day.
That'd be
Honey,
nice.
good news. I guess those conversations probably happen.
Can you imagine signing a piece of
Prior
paper
to
with
that.
that many zeros on it?
No.
Must be nice. That must be a great feeling.
And then you see how much the IRS takes every year from all those zeros.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
You
but
see how much
still.
they take, but you're still elated.
As long as you don't live in California, you're in good shape.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley maybe felt different when he signed his deal.
Or Russia. I'll just take it all.
Yeah, that's why Alex Golesh
That's why he
signed
came
his
to
deal
Florida.
in Florida.
That's right.
No state income tax.
That's why he no longer coaches at the University of Moscow.
Yes, that's correct. So I was just checking the point spreads just a couple moments ago. The Auburn game is still 6.5. They're an underdog. They're in Norman. So it looks like that's kind of settled in at 6.5 because it was kind of fluctuating back to 6.5, but it has been firm at 6.5. Meanwhile, as Conrad looks ahead to next weekend's game
Don't look ahead, Conrad.
between Alabama and Georgia,
Don't overlook the bye week.
Don't overlook the bye week.
Vegas has posted a point spread for the Alabama-Georgia game. 3.5-point underdog for Alabama against Georgia. The Tide had consistently been a consensus 4-point underdog early on, but it has now dropped to 3.5. This will be the 5th consecutive game against Georgia in which Alabama is the underdog. Now let that sink in for a minute, because they have been 5 consecutive times they've been an underdog to Georgia. Overall, this would be the 7th time in the past 16 years that Alabama has been an underdog. And 5 of those have come against Georgia.
It's a great stat. Also, what is Georgia's record in those games?
Well, Conrad,
I think there's a 1 in the win column and
don't let facts get in the way of this story.
another
No.
number in the loss column. Just throwing that out there.
Alabama has also been a betting underdog against Michigan in the Rose Bowl following the 2023 season, in which Tide lost that game.
Yeah, I remember that one.
They were an underdog there. And Nick
I don't
Saban's
remember
final
that one.
game.
Let me tell you what happened.
So 7 times they've been an underdog in 16 seasons. All of them have been against Georgia and 1 time against Michigan, and that's it.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
So are you loading up on the 3.5 for the Tide on the road?
We'll get to that next week. We'll get to that next week. I've
Confidence-
learned not to open my mouth.
Pace yourself.
Yeah,
Probably smart.
I've learned to temper some things.
Well,
There's
Mike
a lot of
Griffith,
things you can step in next week.
Yes.
Griffith will be on the show tomorrow.
And how much do you want to bet that he's going to say Alabama's going to win that football game?
You think?
Just based on his track record,
Yeah,
he tends to really like Alabama
he will.
in these kinds of
he will
matchups.
praise Ty Simpson.
Yep.
Kalen DeBoer hasn't forgotten how to coach. They came out. They weren't focused. Turns out it's a pretty good Florida State team. And this Alabama team, he would not be surprised at all if they walked away with a win from Athens.
Yeah, and then
That's
I'll
my
probably
prediction.
throw in, don't be surprised if they still win the national championship or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's Mike.
And then they'll bring up Nick Saban.
Last time
And Carson
Alabama
Beck.
was favored over Georgia,
Oh.
Last time they were favored over Georgia?
20
Wouldn't have been the 2020 championship game.
I was thinking, was it 2017?
it was the 2020 regular season game.
That's right, regular
Oh,
season.
yeah, which Alabama.
Won in Bryant-Denny
Correct.
during COVID.
Correct. It was a great game. I think that was 42-14, if I remember correctly.
That was the last year Alabama won a national championship.
Do you remember that far back?
You remember that?
I wasn't alive to see it.
Were you in school then?
Yeah, I think I was in 3rd grade.
Man,
Feels like ages in Alabama time.
you were clicking them off pretty heavily there during the 2010s.
You were spoiled.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Alabama fan.
What does
You
it feel
got
like
spoiled.
now versus then?
It's more interesting. That's
Good way to put it.
That's the nicest. My Saturdays are more eventful now.
Well, the big game, not only in these neck of the woods, but in the Southeastern Conference, is going to happen in Norman, Oklahoma. We're going to go to Oklahoma City next, talk to Curtis Fitzpatrick from WWLS Radio, our sister Oklahoma City, get his thoughts on the big game coming up in Norman. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks. Do you have Curtis's number? Oh, it's a big one coming up this weekend in Norman, Oklahoma, as the Auburn Tigers in the Southeastern Conference. Big game. The winner of that might propel themselves into the college football playoff discussion. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, good friend of the show, the sports animal in Oklahoma City, Curtis Fitzpatrick, joins us now on Three Man Front. Curtis, how are the natives feeling about this game coming up this weekend? I know your show's been probably a lot of discussion about the Auburn Tigers coming to town.
Absolutely. First of all, great song selection. Love that coming back. It had the big enormous. There was a lot of that game. Watching it. Still is Jackson. So I think for all those reasons, I mean, people are as fired up for this game, especially for a conference game in Norman that I remember in a long time.
Curtis, we see John Mateer, the Heisman odds. He's now, according to most, the Heisman favorite here in the early part of the season. For those who have not watched a whole lot of John Mateer in this Oklahoma offense, what have you seen and how have you been?
Blown away, to be honest. I mean, he's the real deal. He's a dude. I mean, that's kind of my best way. For a lot, I love to make pretty impressive. He Heisman, but blown me away. I think most people had high expectations based on what they had to pay to get him, but I think he's exceeded all of that. He's a gamer. He fits the mold of your quarterback that you want representing your school. Like, he sounds like when you hear him talk, especially after the game, like you go back and watch the Michigan post-game interview with Holly Rowe, sounds like he's been at Oklahoma for 5 years and he's been here almost 5 months. Like, it's amazing watching him play, but he's a tough dude. He has a rifle arm, and what I love about his arm is he gets the ball away quick. He's not indecisive at all. I think the best thing for what he's doing at Oklahoma is that he's coming in and he's doing it right away because he's so familiar with this offense that Ben Arbuckle brought from Washington State. Like, that's the best part of getting John Mateer, is that there's a package deal. And a lot of times you get a transfer quarterback, you can have high hopes, you can pay him a lot of money, but it might take a minute to get used to the system. But this deal, it works because they've been running this system together, the combination of John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle. And on top of that, guys, he can run the ball. Probably not as good an athlete as Jackson Arnold, but he's different in the way he runs the ball, and he is a weapon in the running game. So he's the complete package. I kind of tempered my enthusiasm, especially after watching what happened last year at Oklahoma, but this guy's blown me away.
Curtis, in regards to the other side of the ball, when you look up and Oklahoma leads the SEC in 6 defensive categories, we all know because of and his history and what he does on that side of the ball that Oklahoma is always going to be a force there. But, man, they are doing something, especially the first part of the year, that not other SEC teams and how they're going to be able to propose a big-time problem for Jackson Arnold coming into town on Saturday. I
mean, it's probably the best defensive front that Oklahoma's had in almost 20 years. I mean, that, and I know they went through a bad spell when Lincoln Riley was here defensively, and they weren't good, but they've had some great defenses over the last couple decades, especially this one. I remember as many round guys today, Harris and Gerald McCoy. About that, they are. I think they've got. Into the season, he played injuries. Really stepped up. He's been solid, but cut out for him. Really excel. Some transfer. That's where you're going to see this team really excel. The combination of David Stone, who was a 5-star a couple years ago, Dominic Williams, TCU transfer in his second year here, Jaden Jackson, those guys up the middle, that's where I think they're as good as the country up front.
Curtis, what's your best guess? Brent Venables, that defensive staff. We know how good Venables is at crippling an opposing offense, but Jackson Dart, we saw it in the Baylor game. Day Miranda elected to go soft shell. They're up top to prevent against the deep pass, and Jackson Arnold tore him up on the ground. Do you think they tried to do the same thing? Are they going to try to spy on Jackson Arnold, play him straight up? They're going to drop an extra guy in the secondary to prevent.
It's a great question. I think probably start out straight up. Obviously, they're very familiar with Jackson Arnold. They know what it's thing about Arnold is a little bit of an issue last year. They had a lot of it. It's kind of different. Probably the best. I don't even think. And so, and you're right. They play different game. The ball. Now, are they going to run the ball? Yeah, absolutely. Higher run. Jackson Arnold, and I think that's where their main. But I think that Jackson Arnold.
Curtis Fitzpatrick joins us for a few more minutes from our sister station, WWLS, the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City, as we preview Auburn taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. You just said it a moment ago, Curtis, in regards to this before the season, but a win against the Auburn Tigers. What does this do to the fan base? What does it do to the media covering this team? What the ceiling potentially could be?
When you about Oklahoma, look nationally and with Texas schedule. There was really high team has done. Oh, Brent started 3-0. Win season. So control. Ask like they did a year. Pathetic. Because they have disaster their scheme. They trust their quarterback. So I think from that standpoint, I don't think that falls off. Now, you have some injuries along the way. We can have a different discussion. I think people are really excited about this team. The most excited they've been, true confidence in a team they've been at Oklahoma since Lincoln Riley left. But you got to see them do it against Auburn. And I think locally people have really kind of focused in on this Auburn game, knowing what's ahead when you have Kent State in the bye week before Texas, and then the schedule's brutal after that. But I think you look at the schedule, guys, and you look at the rest of the way. If you beat Auburn, you're going to be 5-0 going into the Texas game. Texas looks a lot more vulnerable, obviously, with the way Arch Manning's played. South Carolina the same way. Now, some teams look better. I think Alabama last week proved they're probably better than what they showed against Florida State. Tennessee, even though they lost the game, that offense is scary. So some teams look different. Some teams look better. Some teams look worse. But I think the level of confidence is pretty high. But I think, man, all eyes are on this Auburn game right now.
And that leads me to my next question. This is your second year with Oklahoma being a member of the league right now. Submit one SEC team to battle, let's say, Ohio State for a college football national championship. Who are you submitting from the conference?
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Probably Georgia still. Probably Georgia. It's tough though. I mean, if you're asking me, and you didn't, but if you said, "Hey, you think Oklahoma could be in that discussion by the end of the year?" They got to stay healthy. Good.
Possible. It really is.
I agree. Hey, LSU. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you LSU emphatically. The last couple of weeks,
Yep.
I could see some deficiencies there. So, I mean, it's all open for discussion. Hey, Missouri's a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Bo Prabula's really good, and they're on their schedule.
It's going to be a fun season. There's no doubt about it. One week we think it's this team, and then all of a sudden they get knocked down a couple pegs, then somebody else rises up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Curtis, hopefully the Auburn folks will behave themselves in your wonderful state coming up this weekend.
I would not expect them to.
Well, I mean, Alabama folks had a good time. Alabama folks, although they got beat down in Norman, they had a great time.
Auburn folks will behave.
Yeah.
They will. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, traditionally, when Oklahoma's played Alabama, there's always been, at least from this side, a pretty mutual understanding. Like, I think there's some pretty good similarities with the fan bases, being the main team in the state, all that stuff. I'm curious to know what Auburn fans are going to be like. And I know they played in Auburn last year, and everybody had a great time at Auburn. Obviously, Oklahoma won the game, so that helped. But you don't have a lot of history between Oklahoma and Auburn. I know a couple Sugar Bowl games, but it seems like there's more of a kinship with Alabama. So, hey, if everybody's on their best behavior, I'm good. But definitely I'm looking forward to the fan base experience coming to town and seeing the Auburn Tiger fans get after it.
All right, before we let you go, we like to talk about a lot of gambling on this show. 6.5 points, the favorite for the Sooners. You like the Sooners in the points or Auburn in the points?
So I picked OU to win by a touchdown. So
okay.
I guess OU. I mean, if you're asking me if I'm putting money on it, heck no. I think this is going to be a really good game.
Okay.
I'm staying away. How about that?
Okay. But you gave us all we needed, the 7-point win for Oklahoma. So that's good.
I would lean there with Curtis right now.
Yeah.
With it being in Norman. Yeah.
No doubt.
Being at home, I think that's a big deal. And I do think I think there's got to be something at play with Brent Venables, that coaching staff, knowing Jackson Arnold's tendencies. I know it's a different offense, different set of skill players around him. The offensive line is much better than what Jackson Arnold had last year at Oklahoma. I got to think that helps Oklahoma a little bit in this game.
That's why Hugh Freeze and Auburn are going to roll out in the triple option. All of that goes out the window, Curtis.
Yeah.
Hey, triple option here in Norman goes over well.
It does.
It
sure does.
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, Curtis, give our best to our Cumulus brethren there in OKC. Thanks for jumping on with us. I know you've already done a show this morning, but it should be a fun atmosphere and a great Saturday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. See you guys.
Thanks,
That's Curtis.
Curtis Fitzpatrick from WWLS Radio. They're in Oklahoma City. And you deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
It's just told us from there in Oklahoma City, previewing Auburn and Oklahoma and Norman on Saturday. Also, our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards, coming up at 10:45. Picks for the NFL and the college football weekend. All of that and more. It's a Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. We are Jocks.
Coming up in 10 minutes from now, we'll talk to Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider. He will join the program in his customary spot at 10:45. We'll get his take on this weekend's college football and NFL action. Man, got a good one on Thursday night football tomorrow night. You got the Dolphins visiting Western New York, taking on the Buffalo Bills.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jock. So go and find a
As we speak, we'll be monitoring any type of developments during that. Matter of fact, it will be the first time we've heard Kalen DeBoer this entire week. Now, he was speaking to the quarterback club on Monday, but he will be back on the practice field tomorrow. Just moments ago, Brent Venables speaking to the media. He was asked about the Auburn Tigers, and this is a direct quote. He says, their development, talking about Auburn, on both sides of the ball has been fantastic, end of quote. And even when I was listening to his coach's show that we aired a couple of the clips yesterday on Three Man Front, you could tell his respect and some of the things that he's worried about, because he knows Jackson Arnold, and he knows that this is a different Auburn football team than the one they played on the Plains last year.
Yeah, I would argue that Auburn is better in every area this time around, but I would also argue that Oklahoma is as well, with quarterback, offensive line. We know their defense. How about that's the second guy in 2 days from the state of Oklahoma that said that their defensive front is the best that they've had in 20 years. That's saying something for that program.
No, it is. And also keep this in mind. You got a good quarterback. And just like Jackson Arnold has that incredible wide receiver room at Auburn with Singleton and Coleman and Simmons and so on, you look at Oklahoma, they're only one of 3 teams in the nation that has 4 players who average 50-plus receiving yards per game. That's a problem for an Auburn secondary that has been porous at times in this early going.
Yeah, it's a problem if you don't sure that up, and I don't know how they do that. Is that pressuring a guy like John Mateer, because it almost seems like he wants you to do that where he can run? It's going to be interesting. The really interesting matchup is going to be their defense versus Jackson Arnold and the threat that he poses, and that's why I asked Curtis the question. And he said, he thought that originally they would start out straight up, but it's going to come down to Jackson Arnold making those kind of plays.
And, I mean, you could say this about every football game, right, and how important turnovers are, but I do think it's interesting that, and Curtis brought it up, right, Jackson Arnold had a problem last year with turnovers, not so much interceptions, it was more fumbles, but he hasn't turned the ball over this year. Meanwhile, John Mateer has turned the ball over in every single game that Oklahoma's played in. So if you're an Auburn fan and you're DJ Durkin and you're that defense, maybe that's your avenue to, if it is a hard-fought win, right, maybe one interception is the difference in that game, right? You get John Mateer, force him to make a bad throw like we've seen him do in the previous weeks, and that could turn the tide for you. But Jackson Arnold also going to have to stay clean as well, because that's, was an issue for him last year for sure.
I know it sounds cliche, and I get a little annoyed when I hear it because it's overused, but I do think in this case, Auburn's offense has been holding some back and things that they're going to do. Just knowing that you have this first true road test and you're going up against a guy like Venables and that brain trust. What that looks like, I have no idea.
The Oklahoma defense has been so impressive. I was looking at some of their stats. Do you realize that they have only given up 27 first downs so far this season? They have forced 27 punts. It's been like 40 years since Oklahoma's had a defense where they've allowed either the same number of punts and first downs through the first 3 games of the season. So it's been a minute, but they lead the SEC in 6 defensive categories.
I'll say they're only giving up 6 points a game, 180 yards a game. I don't care who you play. That's stout.
Very stout.
It's stout. Yeah. I mean, Michigan would be the test that I would look at. And Temple's bad. And Illinois, whatever, directional.
Yeah, no. I agree with that.
But it's impressive just to hold anybody to 3 points. Doesn't matter who you play.
Well, and I think we talked about this yesterday maybe, right? The only offensive touchdown they've given up all year was that Justice Haynes 75-yard run in the Michigan game to start the second half. That's it.
And don't forget about the Auburn defense. By the way, they are second in rushing defense, third in rushing offense. They rank 10th and 16th in the FBS in those categories. Auburn is only one of 4 teams in the FBS that rank in the top 20 nationally in both categories of rushing defense and rushing offense. So,
And as good as, he was just talking about with the Oklahoma defensive front, Auburn's collected 11 sacks this year. Oklahoma only has 7.
Yeah.
So Auburn's obviously been very good at getting after the quarterback.
yep. And they also lead the SEC. I'm talking about Auburn in tackles for loss. So, should be a very good matchup. And you heard yesterday Tyler McComas telling us that the starting center for Oklahoma is out. And you were doing some research, Landrum, on their backup, who has now been inserted as the number 1 center.
Well, bad news. They got a guy that is really smart. He was a 2024
So much for a dumb center.
all ACC academic team. He's a transfer from Stanford. He started his first game at center last season. I think it was the September 7th game, and then he went on to start 7 games at center. And his name is Jake Mikula, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. 6'5", 300 pounds, big brain.
And they also have at left, I think it's either right or left tackle. I'm pretty sure it's left tackle. They're starting a true freshman because their starting left tackle's been banged up too. So that bodes well for the offensive or Auburn defensive.
Are you telling me to
front, I would
take the
say.
under? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, we all know that's what Molly's probably going to take.
Well,
but
that's what she always takes.
It could be a defensive battle, but hey, I mean, we also sat here
Michael
last week and
Fasusi.
thought the same thing about Georgia and Tennessee potentially, right? And we saw how that game turned
Yeah,
out. so,
80-something points.
Yeah.
Water is your home's worst enemy, and it doesn't need an invitation. It can find its way into your crawl space, bringing mold, pest, wood rot. But Alabama Professional Services, they're ready to serve you today. APS, call them, 205-951-9717. Go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com. That's 205-951-90, good bit of the time. It will seal out the moisture, block the pests, and it can even help reduce the energy costs of your home. This is the engineers at APS. They design a custom system specifically for your home, and you can get started today. Call APS 205-951.
Ryan Edwards, our Vegas insider, where his money is going this NFL and college football weekend. We'll hear from Brian next. His money is going this NFL and college football weekend. We'll hear from Brian next here on 3-Man Front.
10:46 on this Wednesday. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. Pat Landrum, Conrad, Molly. Appreciate Curtis Fitzpatrick from these Oklahoma and Auburn. Each and every Wednesday on the Higginbotham Hotline, he joins us from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. A good friend of the program, Brian Edwards, joins us on this Wednesday. Brian, which are you more depressed about, your Florida Gators or your Commanders?
Foul. Saving the best. My yards. But in the game, contributing. Out. Here again. Hopefully. Won the game the other night, but yeah, didn't go well.
How about them Florida Gators?
That's what I was just talking about there.
Yeah.
Should have, would have, could have won. Yeah. We'll be looking for a coach here soon.
Who's at the top of your wish list? You bring back Urban?
I think it's always been Lane, hasn't it? But I don't know that we can get him. Maybe he's waiting to see what happens with DeBoer at Bama, and he is back together with his ex-wife, and she's a Gator. She's John Reeves' daughter.
Yeah.
Doesn't he hold the record for most interceptions in a game still at Florida when he had 9?
You know what? I know that 5 the other night by DJ was the most since Shane Matthews in Starkville in '92, which was a night I infamously remember as a freshman in college. But I don't. John Reeves, did he throw 9 in one game?
Yes.
Huh.
It's just one of those weird stats I remember.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I should know that if that happened.
Yeah, 1969 is when it happened. Yeah, he threw 9 picks in a game.
Who was it against?
It was a road matchup against the Auburn Tigers.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
They lost the game, by the way.
Hopefully we're not going to break that record.
I don't know. It says a lot when a quarterback's given an opportunity to throw 9 interceptions. Because it was amazing letting Lagwell throw 5 the other night.
The fact that he threw 9 interceptions in 1972.
Yeah, that's something else.
Right, yeah, we didn't throw it.
All right, we can tell Brian does not want to talk about Florida.
Okay, all right. We've had our fun.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the next part of the script. All right, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing pretty good other than the Gators.
No, I know you are. I mean, people are texting the show. This is a very anticipated segment each and every week. People get their pen and paper out, and they jot these down and make some money. So
let me remind all them that I don't always have all my – I mean, the injury report for the FCC doesn't come until Wednesday night, so they can always reach out to me and we can figure something out,
Sure. Okay. Well, before we get into – I mean, again, you kind of give me and Landry, hey, these are some of the games that I'm kind of looking at right now, but I wanted to ask you about this Auburn-Oklahoma game because that's the big one that we've been spending a week, and it's a 6.5-point spread right now. Oklahoma is the favorite. Do you have a feeling one way or another? Is this a situation where do you have an early read right now that you feel like you would like to potentially play?
I like Oklahoma in a teaser or money line parlay.
Okay.
I think they win. Don't know that I want to lay as many points as they're doing. I don't think I've even looked at what their team total and I don't after 4 in the first. I got my first 3.5. Parlay and or now Oklahoma contest. Just go to there.
How much have they impressed?
Well, settled on that last week.
No,
before halftime. Go. Over 37. We'll go down to definitely under 10, maybe even to 7.5, 8. But so I'm just kind of being patient on that. But again, you can bet Missouri any way you want. They are going to thump South Carolina with or without Sellers.
Well, I know you probably don't know this, but Conrad is a huge Brett Bielema fan. Like, he was really hoping Bielema would get back into the conference somehow coaching. Maybe he'll coach your Florida Gators.
They used to sun together on cruises.
Yeah, back in the day when they were big cruise ship guys. But anyway, right now, Illinois is a 5-point underdog at Indiana. You like the Fighting Bear?
Well, let me be clear. This will be the first time I've gone against Kurt Signetti at Indiana, so I'm probably playing with. I better. We're on the road. Signetti. I see it. The road is. Always played a rough schedule by any means. They did go on the road to Duke and put it on them pretty good. And Duke's pretty decent. I mean, I think Tulane's really good, so I don't hold it against Duke, getting beat on the road last week, or not too much at least. And yeah, good game, but I'll take Illinois in the 5 there.
All right, Brian, out of the NFL, no, we got some bad news on the Commanders. You were right, by the way, though, last week in their matchup that they had with the Packers, because you said you were not going to take the Commanders on the road, and you were absolutely right.
Sorry to cut you off there, Landrum. Did I miss? I've been at the gym the last hour. Is Daniel's been ruled out, or are you just talking about how he's very questionable with the sprain knee?
Just because he's questionable? No, I've not seen anything.
There's no official news. No.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah. So right now, look, I still lean Commanders. And if he gets upgraded, that line's going to shoot up to 6 or so. But look, Mariota looked great he played basically most of the game twice last year. It was against the Cowgirls in the regular season finale, and he led them back. And then he went in like late first quarter against the Browns when Jaden got the bruised ribs, and he was spectacular. His skill set fits Kingsbury's offense really good. And the fact that we can – is it still 3.5? Let's see here, Commanders. Where are you? Yeah, 3.5. I mean, if you can buy it to 3, I still like them for a little bit, not a lot right now, because you can maybe hedge back a touch if you want if he gets upgraded, because that line will move to 5.5, 6. But I still like our chances a lot actually with Mariota at 3 if you can buy the half point to 3.
All right, very quickly, Bengals +3 at Minnesota. And how about the Bills Thursday night against the Fins?
Well, first off, let's go Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown until it loses.
Okay.
And second off, let's buy the Eagles from 3.5 to 3 at home to the Rams. And let's go Bengals +3 because Jake Browning is better than Carson Wentz these days. And the Vikings also have Aaron Jones is out. Starting center Ryan Kelly is out. And 3 starters on defense are very questionable. The Bengals believe in Browning. 4-3. As a starter in 2023 and 92-yard touchdown drive at crunch time last week.
Wow. All right. Good stuff.
It was 1969 when he threw the 9 interceptions.
Unbelievable.
Well played. Touche.
Be with you next Wednesday.
Later. We do repeats and hoops, by the way.
Okay, absolutely. We'll see you.
There it is.
I knew he had to get that in.